Hi, you guys. Welcome to episode 2 of Kicking It with Kaila. So, you guys, I have my special guest today. It's my mom. So, we're going to get into a few questions. A little update on me, you guys. I know in my last episode I told you guys about me going for my camp license. I've done 3 days of classes thus far. I passed with an in-house quiz of a 97%, so I'm super excited. Tomorrow is my last day of class, so I have been studying and attending my classes here in Charlotte, North Carolina with my mom. But I will be finished tomorrow at 4 o'clock, and then the test is Friday. So fingers crossed, wish me luck. But by the time you see this video, I probably would have already tested out, and then we'll have a follow-up episode on whatever happened. So this is my mom. I'll let her introduce herself.
So hello everyone, I'm Karen, proud mother of two granddaughters. I am 56 years old. Before you even say you look good, thank you.
Thank you in advance.
That's where he gets it from.
Hello.
But yeah, I'm just here enjoying myself, and I'm glad my son is home for a little while, and let's get to these questions.
Period. Okay. So my first question, what is your favorite memory?
Oh, wow. That's a tough one because I'm 56. I have a lot of memories. I remember the first time I got pregnant, and when I was having my first baby, it was so beautiful to me. And when I had Dimitri, it was, I don't know, I guess my favorite memories would be being a new mother.
Okay. I don't know what that's like.
Twice.
New mom twice. Y'all know I have 3 kids of my own, fur babies, so I don't really know what it's like to have, all that jazz, but okay. I'm here for it. What is your biggest fear?
My biggest fear would be not leaving a legacy. Because that's what I want to do. That's what I'm working towards. I want to be able to make a mark, not just on life in general, but for, so if anything, you know what I'm saying, these circumstances, should happen or whatever, then, I know that y'all and the grandkids are taken care of.
This goes hand in hand, this question goes hand in hand with the last question. What would you like people to remember you for?
My heart, my humility, my integrity, because I'm very loving and caring, and it can be a blessing and a curse, because it leaves the door open for you being hurt, especially when you give from your heart, and then wanting more for others than they want for themselves.
Okay, that's where I get it from. What's one thing you're most proud of accomplishing?
So, I don't know if you guys know, but this right here is a medallion. So, I get one every year. I started doing drugs at an early age, and I started being molested at a very, very early age, and I carried that into my teens and then to my adulthood throughout my pregnancies. I wasn't getting high during my pregnancies, but I was doing some things that could have caused me harm. But after I had my children, I started getting high, and I became a crack addict. So June 17th, I will be celebrating 7 years clean.
Yes, we love that. So sorry, y'all. Um, yes, I'm aware of this. This is my mom, so we talk very openly, so I know these things, and it's very satisfying to hear. I don't know what it's like as like in the earlier stages because I was super young while a lot of this was happening. So I think that once I was old enough, probably I want to say 17, 18-ish, I think I understood, but I still, honestly, I wasn't really like a party animal. I was more so a homebody. I always stayed at home. I was always on the computer. I was always listening to music. I didn't really go out until I think right after I graduated. I was a ballet dancer at the time, so I really didn't have the chance to go out. I couldn't drink because we weren't allowed to for our bodies. I was very healthy. I was super slim, super. I had bodies. She got the body I had out school. Yeah, so I think that like it's great to see because like a lot of people are not as open about like their past and their lives and things like that. So I love the fact that like my mom just did like a complete 180 from where she came from. I mean, I didn't get to see those tough times, but I mean, I can imagine how tough they were, but I wasn't there. But yes, congrats, y'all. Put your hands together. Congratulate my mom on 7 years. Jenny 17. Yes, we love that. We'll be here back in Charlotte. What is one thing that you could change about your past?
So to be honest, nothing. And the reason why I say that is because when I realized, so I'm not trying to get religious or anything like that because I'm not religious. I'm spiritual. So what I remember growing up, like the God that people would have, every time you do something, you was gonna go to hell, burn in hell, and stuff like that. But what I realized too is that Jesus only hung with thieves, murderers, prostitutes, gamblers. Like he only hung with street people, and so when I realized that I was chosen for this life, so and the reason why I say that I'm chosen was because I was one of those street people, and I know that he kept me and protected me and allowed me to live to see this day because I had to help people that was coming behind me. So when I realized what my whole purpose of living is, it was to be a recovering addict. Everybody don't get this way of life and to know why they were actually here. Some people think that they're just born. No, everybody has a purpose and everybody has an assignment. Mm-hmm. And so my assignment was to go through everything that I went through, to be grateful for everything that I went through to get here. So I needed to go through it to help somebody else. So I wouldn't change anything. I used to say that I used to be embarrassed about being an addict. I didn't want nobody to know, and this, that, and the third. But the embarrassment wasn't the part of being an addict. The embarrassment was not knowing why I was put here. And so I have a different outlook on life. God gave me a new life to live. This new way of life, and so with that being said, I'm also responsible for helping people live. Mm-hmm. I have sponsees, about 20 of them, I think, 25, something like that. I have a lot, and they look up to me and they come to me for guidance. And, like I said, I realize what my purpose is for being here and alive still today.
Period. Mm-hmm. So, is how you define success different today than it was when you were younger?
So to me, back then, success was money.
This is true.
What I know today is success is not money. It has nothing to do with money, being successful. Success for me comes from my heart and it comes from within. And it's how I see a thing, how I view a thing, and how I respond to a thing, right? I'm not saying that money is important because we have to have it to live and survive, but that's not success for me. Like, me being clean today is a success for me.
Yes, it is.
You understand? Because I don't have to be here. I could be somewhere in a crack house smoking crack, doing a whole lot of other things, but I'm not, you know. So every day that I'm clean is a successful day for me, you know. I may not be where I want to be, but I'm sure as hell not where I used to be. You know, I do have a book coming. It's called Crack Diary. Hopefully it'll be out for sale maybe in about 6 or 7 months. But it's my autobiography, and yeah, so you guys stay tuned and buy it.
That's right. What is your biggest fear?
Surviving my children.
Okay. Yeah. That's
my
it.
biggest
Oh,
fear.
yeah.
And that's only because my mom lost 2 of her sons, and I saw her deteriorate. So that would be my biggest fear.
I don't know that. But that, I mean, yeah. I think about that on like a regular, but I just don't. I mean, I don't know what that feels like. I'm sure that my grandma could explain that more. She's here with us, y'all, but she's not getting on this camera. So I just want to let y'all know I would have to fight this lady to get her on this couch with us. And I was not in the mood of my little silk. We used to have like 2-piece greases, so I was just not into that. But yeah, that's definitely. I don't know. It's just, I don't know what it's like to be a parent. So, because I don't have children. So I can only imagine that, like, my mom worries a lot. I know it because she's my mom. But I can just imagine how, like, that could be on a person, especially after you raise children. And the thing about is, I never met my uncle. He was, I never met my uncle Alfonso. He passed prior to me being born. I did meet my mother's older brother, Greg. He was my twin. If y'all want to know, I am 6'3.5". My uncle was 6'6", probably 6'7", about. Super tall, very handsome man, dark skinned, dark and lovely, ladies lover. And it's weird because that was the first time I had ever heard my grandmother mention death bells, right? I don't know if you guys know about death bells. I've only heard them once, right? And this was when I lost my first dog, August. I actually heard this sound. It is like, if y'all have ever heard, not like when you go to a gas station and you open the door and those bells ring, but more so like at a church. Like a chime, you hear it in your ear, and it's supposed to be a signal of someone passing over, right? And at this time, I remember it like it was yesterday. I was actually here, and my aunt, Aunt May, which was my uncle's wife, called us, and she wanted us to go to see him. Mm-hmm. We hopped in the car. It was May, myself, and my grandmother. I don't think we brought Imani, if I'm not mistaken. We didn't bring her. It was just us 3. And he was being held at a hospital about an hour and some change away, right? And I was in the back seat. May was driving. My grandma was in the passenger side. And May was flying. Now, y'all know if y'all don't know mine, this lady cannot drive.
Like a turtle.
Yeah. And she drives very slow. This particular day, y'all, she was hitting it down the highway. I'm in the back scared because I'm like, she ain't ever went this fast before. Why is she going this fast now? But we were stopped. Funny thing is, rewind back, my grandmother already knew that her son had passed. And y'all, if you have never met a lady who does not show emotion, it's this lady. We in the car, just talking, chatting. She said she already knew because she had already heard the bells at home before May got to her, right? We were also speeding so much that my grandmother was telling my aunt to slow down. Right when she was telling her to slow down, a deer hopped in front of us.
Wow.
And Y'all know I'm screaming. Y'all, I'm extra. I'm screaming like it's the last damn because we're about to hit this deer. We stopped, and my grandma was like, "That was your sign to slow down." Now on the way back, she explained what the deer was. She thought that it was literally my uncle intervening to let her know, like, it's fine, just take your time, type of deal, right? I'm already gone. Take your time, blah blah blah. So we finally got there to the hospital, and this is probably the first person I had ever seen in a hospital bed that had passed. I don't do hospitals, y'all, and I don't do funerals. I just do not call me. I like to remember people how they were, and I just think that it just resonates better with me because I am emotional, but I'm emotionless. If that kind of makes sense, I can explain it, but I don't want to go into detail. But I just feel like emotions get the best of me, and then I don't know how to control them because they kind of take me out of whack. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So I try not to get emotional, only for the simple fact that I know that it could lead into a deeper depression than what it really is, depending on how the scenario and how emotional you are. But long story short, he was amazing. He let me get away with a lot of stuff. He taught me how to drive. He used to take me to a bar that I was not supposed to be at as a child. That we used to play darts. I had to deal with the bartender and the people. They had like this little candy bucket with suckers in it at this bar. And it was by his old house right across the street off of Albemarle Road in Independence. Yeah. And the bar was like right on the corner across from the little cowboy shop. And we would go in, and he would be in there, like he'd be at the bar kicking his homies, I'd be at the dartboard. And they told me every time I made a bullseye, they'd give me a sucker. So when nobody was watching, I would go grab a dart and put it in there. And I would walk back and say, yeah, I was screaming. Yeah, I was such a bad child. I was a good bad child, you know. But that's how I used to reward myself with suckers. So, nonetheless, what is the most meaningful relationship that you've ever had?
Well, I could say with you and Cameron's dad, I could say that
loser.
It wasn't for them, then I wouldn't have y'all. I could say that. But the one I'm in now, because so my program teaches me that, you know, we work stuff called steps, and it teaches us how to live a new way of life. And it also says that because we have a disease of addiction, that we didn't have any relationships for real until we got clean.
That's fair.
So all our relationships were like an illusion and a myth, because half the time I was high when I was in these relationships, so I really wasn't my true authentic self. So the relationship that I'm in now, I can honestly say I'm my true authentic self, and it means a lot. Like, in spite of anything, our differences, you know, ups and downs, ins and outs, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's worth being in it. Yeah.
That makes sense. It's like saying, relatable for y'all that know what's love. It's like, y'all know the movie Alice in Wonderland was built around the illusion, and your hippie era, I guess you can say, or, you know, people who were stimulated mentally through drugs. It's a deeper. I love Alice in Wonderland. I've danced the ballet, and it's when you read it, you're like, first of all, as a child, I should not be watching this. But to children, it was, you know, a girl going into this mythical world, you know, following a rabbit, you know, who talks, that kind of thing. But a deeper meaning of it is Alice was drugged. She was drugged, you know, she fell into this hole. She was hallucinating, seeing.
I didn't know that.
Seeing cat. You know this?
No, I didn't. So that's where the term falling down the rabbit hole comes from.
Correct.
And, you know, I just heard, to be honest, I heard that 3 times this past week. Mm-hmm. Falling in the rabbit hole. And I was like, what the fuck is they talking about?
So that's where the term, she beat me to it. That's where the term falling down the rabbit hole comes from. And if you watch the movie, she fell down a rabbit hole. She's following a rabbit that talks. She saw a cat that just appeared out of smoke, which is a Cheshire cat.
Yeah.
She hallucinated tea parties. She hallucinated queens and people killing her and all this jazz, people being after her. And then when she defeated this queen of the dam or whatever it was in this other world, she woke up. You know, from the drug itself. Even the caterpillar. The caterpillar was actually smoking in the actual movie, who was also high, who was the one who was guiding her through the rabbit hole and through the sceneries. So it's just like there's just like, as deep as like my mom explained how her relationship now is the best one she's had, because this is where she's her full self with no hallucination or nothing controlling her mind, body, and spirit. Mm-hmm. It reminds me of the movie because she had to come out of her highness to be able to come back to real life. Does that make sense? Like, it's a deep story, y'all. If y'all don't listen, read Alice in Wonderland and understand the verbiage and get into the book. I promise y'all will look at that movie a whole nother way when you watch it, because it explains the life. It explains like how people mess up. If you even listening to like the beginning of it, she was insubordinate, right? She didn't want to listen to her parents. She didn't want to do what they say. They were trying to hook her with a boy she didn't like, blah blah blah, and she went against the rules, which also led her to finding the rabbit, which led her down the hole, because she's like, as a matter of fact, instead of marrying this man, I'd rather chase this rabbit. Does that make sense? Like, and then it led her down the rabbit hole, which her life went to shambles, because she was fighting for her life in this hole until she came out of it. She succeeded. She won. She overcome every obstacle. She met the Johnny Depp played his, I can't remember his name, the Mad Hatter. Yeah. She met the Mad Hatter. The Mad Hatter was her number one friend, who was kind of like, he was kind of like an angel on the shoulder. Like, okay, I know you're here. They've been looking for you, but I'm not gonna let anybody defeat you. I got your back, type of deal. So, that's amazing.
That's crazy.
That is amazing. You see, you learn something new every day, y'all. And I'm telling you, when I learned that, I was like, it makes sense. It makes absolute sense. But I think it's very relatable to that discussion. I had this conversation with my friends who's going through a tough time right now, but you kind of have to know that this is not the end. Wherever you are, it gets better with time. And that's just from personal experience with my mom. Everything gets better with time. You just have to have faith. Whether that's in yourself, whether that's the universe, whether it's God, whether it's whatever you believe in, you have to have some type of faith. However, you still have to meet it halfway. Because nothing's going to just drop into your lap. Nothing's going to be given to you. They have to see the efforts to say, okay, you know what? I see you working for it. Now it's yours. So that's my word of the day. That's all I have. Y'all thank my mama for showing up to my episode 2. And we will see you next time.